was a little faster pace that time. You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank you, Wade.
Yeah. And hello, everybody. Welcome to this podcast. What was it again?
Star Trek Resignation is
Oh, yes, yeah.
Star Trek Resignation, Under the Bridge, a Star Trek Lower Decks
This
podcast.
podcast.
That's the full title, I believe.
I think, yeah, and Esquire.
Esquire.
Timely.
So yeah, this is that podcast that you've been listening to, maybe or maybe not. Maybe you listen to an old version. Anyways, we're talking about Lower Decks. No shit, you're here. You know this. My name is Wade Bowen, and with me this evening, or whenever you're listening, is Sean Parada
Yo, what up?
and Glen Hall.
Hello.
But then also another guy that you may have heard before from our old No Feelings improv team.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, you can cut that part. God, fuck, they did improv. Of course, no wonder it's not funny. Benny Schechner.
Hey, hello.
And yeah, we're 3 episodes in to Lower Decks, right?
Correct.
This is number 3. Yes, sir.
Yes, and it's called, what, Temporal Edict.
Yep.
Which was a little misleading.
Oh, yeah, I was watching it with, the person I watched this with, and she was like, she saw the title, she's like, oh, fuck it, time travel. She hates time travel shit all the time, and very pleasantly surprised that it was not.
It's like, and like after the fact, like I get it, like what the title refers to, but it's like, come on, man.
No, I think it's great.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's literally a temporal edict.
Yeah.
I don't get the joke.
Yeah.
What's the joke?
It's not a joke, really. It's a
Okay.
rule
It's
about time.
Right. It's a
So-
misdirect. It's made to make
yeah.
you think that it's going to be like an episode about time travel, like a temporal shift, a temporal what.
Right,
but it is
right.
literally a temporal edict that the captain sets that you need to complete
Right.
your tasks
Right.
within this time.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Because Glenn knows some about Star Trek now, and hell,
I've heard that rumor.
yeah. And Benny, I don't know, you might know less than Sean at this point,
Maybe, yeah.
because he's been here more often listening to Glenn and I talk all this shit.
I definitely
mean-
know less than Sean.
I guess you could call me an expert on white noise at this point.
Well, say what you will about our demographic here. But yeah, we're like 3 episodes in. I guess it's finding its whole thing.
Do we know how many episodes critics got? Did they get 4?
I think they only got 4.
Okay, because I know we've talked a little bit about their sort of disappointments with how it's evolved or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious when they shut the fuck up.
Right. Well, all the reviews came out when it launched.
Right.
Critics don't like it?
A lot of the big critics, there's mixed. Some people love it. The Star Trek nerds seem to, well, they're mixed. Like the Alan Sepinwall was not very big on it, but then the dorks over at one of all the nerd sites are like head over heels because it's in their interest to love anything Star Trek.
Right. They just want more Star Trek. But I think we've said a little bit in other episodes that they feel that it's one note. They don't like that every episode is just sort of a self-contained,
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing that I liked about it.
That's what's good about it. And it's some of them think it's too jokey, too Rick and Morty, I think.
I get
but it's
that.
like,
Yeah. It's silly. If you don't want like just a very silly Star Trek without any of the pomp of Star Trek, then yeah, you're not gonna like it. But
And sometimes I think I've talked about it as we've been watching it. Like at first I was like, oh, this is great. Even the goofiness fits into Trek with me. This is the one where it's this episode, if I'm laying out some of my ideas about this episode, some of it feels a little bit too nudge, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
goofy and not really set in the universe. It's just making a joke, like, to where it's like it's making a spoof almost instead of like being like something that could reasonably take place in the universe and not be like a dumb joke.
right.
Because it is a unique challenge that it has to, even though it's a screwball comedy, it has to adhere to Star Trek canon. And I realized that there was a show in the recent past that tried this, and that was the DC show Powerless. That was like the sitcom set in the DC universe. And full disclosure, we actually tried workshopping a similar idea years before that show came out. But
yeah, that's right. Lawsuit forthcoming. Lawyer up, DC.
You brought up the C word, Glenn. I wasn't trying to bring up canon because technically we don't know if the official canon in the old days used to be that the animated series was not canon, according to the Great Bird of the Universe. That's at the end of the episode. According to Gene Roddenberry, TAS was not canon or something. But now with this new Trek, they kind of it's kind of accepted as canon, and I hate that I'm talking about canon all this much. Oh.
So with the Kelvin canon, with the new movies, that's its own thing.
Right, but then they went through the trouble to split the timeline so that it doesn't negate canon. It's a parallel.
Right. Yeah. So so the original series and everything that came before the movies is all and right, not the animated series, not certain little things, but that's all taking place in the same Star Trek universe, just at different points in time.
Correct.
With the other shows. Glenn, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. But now, I'm picking that she's making references to things that are in DS9 and other is it in that is that what they're doing?
They are. Most of the references that Mariner makes is stuff that she would know about, so it's mostly fine with me.
But it's stuff that it's not. I don't even want to do this, but I just this is the only time I've ever been curious about
Sean.
This. It's not Glenn. I swear to God, shut the fuck up. So it's not. She's not in Kelvin canon because
nobody's Kelvin here.
Because she's asking about the stuff that's happened in the shows that aired before the Kelvin movies.
Yes.
So she's not in. Okay, then I'm good.
There's no Kelvin. And then if we're gonna talk about canon,
I know I don't mean to do this. I
want to get this over with and we will never speak of it again.
Well, that's objectively not true.
No, I'm going to scream at you when you yell about canon, Glenn. No, I'm not going to scream at you.
I will.
Sean will. That's what Sean's for.
Because I want to get this out. I do. I want this done. I want to just understand.
If we're talking especially with this Kurtzman, the new Trek on All Access Trek and everything, a lot of the people that hated Discovery and everything else the most, the toxic, for the wrong reasons, because they're the same people that hated Captain Marvel because a chick shouldn't be able to be that strong or whatever. So there's a lot of people that hate it for bad reasons. There's people that hate it for good reasons, like
us.
Like us. But then a lot of it is there's this conspiracy theory about that none of it is actually canon, that they split canon when they sold the rights to Bad Robot, and it's and it's a rabbit hole you don't.
So they're suggesting that a meta-textual splitting of canon.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's fucking stupid, and I'm not interested.
Because of rights contracts with the new production company had to be 25% different. And fuck all that. This is not a podcast that wants to entertain that shit.
No, not interested.
I've talked about it. It's very annoying.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's stupid. Go on, Glenn.
Ironically, I have a single sentence summary for your exact question.
I think Wade answered my question.
All right. Well, if it's a single sentence, let him do it. Because if he can be that succinct, I'm going to be amazed.
Everything except the Chris Pine movies are generally considered, everything officially on-screen Star Trek besides the Chris Pine movies are considered one timeline. Chris Pine movies are a separate timeline. Period.
I don't know if that's really one sentence.
It wasn't one sentence. No, that was there's a lot of punctuation in there, but that
like I said, I was going to be very impressed. I'm not.
Yeah, no, not impressed.
Well, you know what? It's hard to say one sentence when people keep fucking interrupting you.
Well, it's just funny that that's the question I asked and that Wade answered.
Well, that's what I was trying to say 7 fucking minutes ago.
I love you, Glenn.
I love you too.
I'm all of you. You know what? I support you yelling at us for taking 7 minutes to answer something that you answered in 3 or 4 sentences.
It was that was a solid run on sentence. I'd put it at about 3 sentences. Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake,
Benny, did you watch any other episodes of this show, or did you just watch?
I did.
Episode?
I watched the pilot and I watched this episode.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Well, give us your thoughts.
I enjoyed it immensely, and I was really prepared not to like it because I wasn't interested in seeing something that was so much like comedy in Star Trek. You know,
Right.
I was like, if I'm gonna watch Star Trek, I want to watch Star Trek. I'm not interested in watching a comedy show that does some vaguely Star Trek-y things. But I think that it strikes a really nice balance of being a good, authentic science fiction show that is Star Trek, and being a silly comedy show.
That's how I feel about it too. I think that's
I love the cast.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's cool. There's a lot of like really like cool like comedy people. They went out and they got like good funny voice actors.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good, smart,
I think Neil Casey did 2 voices in this episode.
amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the last week I mentioned a voice that it took me a while to pinpoint, and it was Neil Casey. It was like, I know that guy's voice. And
No, Glenn, that was Paul Scheer. Remember, you
you
couldn't pick out Paul Scheer's voice.
Do you know the other Armando Iannucci alum who was on this episode?
Who?
No.
Sam Richardson. He was the Bolian, the blue guy.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Love Sam Richardson. He's fantastic. Neil Casey too.
What? Okay, never mind. I can't put a name to the face.
Sam Richardson's the black guy, Detroiters on.
Oh
Veep.
yeah. Sorry, you were asking who the actor is. Yeah.
On Veep, he becomes like the mayor of something or something. I don't remember.
Well, spoiler. Well, I won't spoil it. But he's
Sean just spoiled it.
Well, fucking.
Or what? Veep's been. Oh, are you watching Veep?
No, I'm kidding.
Veep's been over for
Veep,
years.
Veep's great. I watched it. It's great. I've already
You
seen
can't
it.
spoil Veep now. We're not doing this.
It's not a spoiler show.
Oh, I love that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
He's in
I didn't realize that was him. That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
he's incredible. And so I mean that's the kind of thing. It's like that's even on episodes I don't like as much, like this one. The fact that Neil Casey and Sam Richardson and like they got all these great comedy people there. It's like that's gonna bring me back into the fold even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I think we got our general ideas out. Did anybody have anything before we just jump into this episode?
Nothing general. No, I feel exactly the same as I did before.
Yeah.
I felt like parts of this episode were a little underwritten,
Yeah.
and then other parts I liked a lot. Generally, I liked the storyline that was taking place on the planet, and I didn't like what was happening on the ship as much.
Yeah.
There were some things I wish they'd underwritten's a nice way to put it. Like timid, I thought if they're gonna, but we'll get into it, I guess. So yeah, I mean, does anybody want to do a quick synopsis real fast?
I do, but you're not going to let me, so I
You
won't say
can
anything.
go ahead.
Do a quick
ooh,
synopsis.
how luxurious!
A quick
well.
synopsis.
All right. The Cerritos is en route to Cardassia Prime for peace negotiations when it is reassigned to instead deliver quote-unquote diplomatic trinkets to Gelrak 5. This angers Freeman, who believes that the Cerritos is not respected by Starfleet. Meanwhile, the ensigns teach Tendi about quote-unquote buffer time, a long-standing tradition in which the lower decks crew takes time to relax between jobs. Boimler accidentally reveals this to Freeman, who institutes a time deadline for all tasks. The ship descends into chaos as the crew attempts to complete their work on time, and when the away team arrives on Gelrak 5, they accidentally bring the wrong gift due to the panic. In anger, the people of Gelrak 5 attack the Cerritos. The crew is unable to respond until Boimler reminds Freeman that they need to be able to complete their work in their own time. She halts the time deadlines, and the crew are able to focus on repelling the attackers. Freeman later institutes a new mandate named, quote-unquote, the Boimler Effect that encourages crew members to take shortcuts and not blindly follow the rules and build in, quote-unquote, buffer time whenever they deem fit. And the episode ends with a flash forward to the future where they identify the single most important person in all of galactic history as one Chief Miles O'Brien.
For you, that was pretty quick.
I didn't get that. What did that mean, Miles O'Brien?
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
D Space Nine.
Well, no, that was not. No, they didn't make a Miles Deep Space Nine reference. That was more of a. If you look, he's at the transporter controls like he is in all of TNG. So I mean,
Fine.
See, Glenn. When you get upset that I yell at you to shut the fuck up, this is just why. Because Wade knows his shit.
I mean, no, he's not wrong.
I was about to say, let's just make it clear that Wade is correcting me that while I identified the character correctly, I did not identify the character from the correct context.
Well, you also said he was only from DS9. It's like, well, there's more.
Right. I just care about the reference. Glenn, I don't give a shit who this guy is. I'm never gonna see him in anything.
You
I
should.
care
He's
about the reference.
Well, I mean, no, I'm being a dick to Glenn, so I mean, I'll give him this.
I have a new title for this podcast. Deconstructing Glen.
Deconstructing Glen is good, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Star Trek Resignation, Under the Bridge, a Lower Decks podcast, Star Trek podcast,
Parenthetical
Deconstructing Glen.
Deconstructing Glenn. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
motherfuckers.
What was I saying? Yeah, that Miles O'Brien is a great character. It felt like this was like a dumb like reference joke. This doesn't actually like. It's like, see this guy.
Is the joke that like he doesn't do much? That's like that's the joke.
Well, yes, especially since they did him at the guy that's just operating the transporter.
Right.
There's a whole web comic of just Chief O'Brien at work, and it just makes fun of him as the guy that's in front of the transporter. Deep Space Nine, he gets to do a lot. He gets to be a Rambo and shit. But like,
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, it's okay. He's a great character because Cole Meany, who is a character actor you've seen in a lot of things,
Yeah.
is great. That's all I need to say about it.
Sure.
But yeah, to jump to the end, that felt like a tack on, just like gag that didn't really. I saw the IO9 reviewer, because they have to love everything or else they might lose their access or something.
That is their job, yes.
They're like, oh, this is the greatest reference in the world. It was just a reference gag. It didn't actually. It was a cheap, dumb joke to me.
Well, we've talked about that, and the fact that like it feels like they've done right. That's the thing. Like we've talked a lot about how like I don't pick up on most of the references, which is why I like the show. Like that like that joke left me cold, but I understood that it was because it was a reference. But then I also understood that like, well, it's not a joke, it's just a reference. You know, like
Right. That's kind of like when Jack Ransom's in the fight. The two-hand punch is a funny reference because that's like a Star Trekism.
That I actually got. That I've seen like Shatner, like, you know, in like old everybody, you know, even just a clip of him hitting like a guy in a funny suit.
I didn't get that. That's really funny.
That I picked up on.
And they carry that shit over through every iteration of Star Trek. They're doing those two-hand punches. So that's fun. When him yelling, Kirk, Spock, Kirk, Spock, Kirk, Spock, that was like, it's like, really? That just feels kind of dumb.
Yeah, that was a little.
It's a non-diegetic reference or something. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't make sense that everybody, it's like, I know everybody knows who Kirk and Spock is, but to like, I'm punching like a reference to these. It's like, I was like, all right. There's a few of that in this episode, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, and I think that ties into. I know you guys hate this word, but the sort of the canon question of this show. I'm not talking about like nitty gritty details, but like the fact that this show does take place in this world that is so well defined, but also has to, you know, be this silly sci-fi comedy show that kind of, you know, resets every week like any other sitcom. It does have to kind of find this weird balance of well, like again, like the Kirk and Spock thing and the Kirk hands from last episode. Like these are, you know, funny jokes and funny references, but like it's
funny.
I think sometimes yeah, like I think sometimes they're hard to square with like this is also supposed to be taking place in the same world where like the Kirk and Spock events actually happened, and there's a little bit of a disconnect there that I think kind of makes it harder to swallow.
It doesn't bother me that these characters reference these people that they would obviously know.
Yeah,
but
we
it's
do
like
it in real life. Like that's just a thing that happens.
But it's like enough is enough. Like you hit it too hard. It's like because like the technology in the world of Star Trek is so fantastical that you can take things to make things cartoonish. And then yet you don't have to bend the reality of the setting,
right?
Because like, you know, they can just rub a laser on it and you attach a limb back on or whatever. So it's like, okay.
Right. Well, I even like I liked at the end of the first episode that she just like lists a bunch of names, you know, which like I'm like, oh great, like fun. It felt like it was getting it out of the way. Like it felt like it was like, look here, yeah, like we know Star Trek. Look, here's all the names. You guys have fun. We're being silly. But yeah, the fact that like a Kirk reference every episode, like a spot I'm like, oh, we don't have to keep doing this. Like just do your own thing. We're good.
There's ways to reference previous Star Trek that isn't like a wink necessarily. That's like, so like for instance, when they're going to sign a peace treaty that the captain is so excited about, and then like, oh, they moved it from Cardassia Prime to Vulcan because the Cardassians were creeping everybody out. That's funny if you've watched Deep Space Nine and you know the Cardassians are creepy, like haha, because they are. But it also they are creepy. And so it's not like, hey, remember that thing that happened in Deep Space Nine? It is that, but also, yeah, nobody likes the Cardassians. They're creepy. They want to go somewhere else. That makes sense with the
Yeah, just exist in the universe. Like, that's all. Like, just be, be,
Right,
be,
and that's and to bring another analogy, like that's the show I referenced earlier, Powerless. That's the problem it had, is that it wasn't content to let the comedy come from the fact that these characters live in a world of superheroes and supervillains and all this crazy shit. They leaned so much on, you know, one of the characters saying, "Oh, this is about Batman," and blah blah blah, like constantly name checking and referencing all this stuff. It's like, it's enough that there are ways that you can find the jokes
right.
in the world, in the situation itself, rather than, you know, just assuming that your audience has to be reminded that this is related to Kirk, this is related to Spock. And
So it's, we're just putting out a warning to Star Trek Lower Decks. Watch out what you're doing, lest you become powerless.
yes, exactly.
Right. And that Powerless is an excellent cautionary tale.
That I could talk about that for a while, but I won't.
No, I would hope not. This isn't a Powerless podcast.
No, it's not.
And the whole conceit of this episode, I guess, since we've been faffing around this long and just now getting to it, the name, the Temporal Edict that this show, the title is referenced to, the whole buffer time thing, that's a classic Star Trek trope that they kind of blow out into to use for comedy in this episode. The whole conceit of the episode, the buffer time thing, is something going way back to Scotty. Like, makes that joke, and when he shows up on TNG, he's like, "God, you never tell him how long it actually takes." So it's a set trope in Star Trek that, like, the engineers always give too much extra time so that you can fit it in.
And that episode's also a little bit metatextual, because Scotty in that episode is basically playing the role of a TOS nerd who's upset with all the changes that TNG made.
Yeah. And later on in Deep Space Nine, O'Brien as well also references, like, "Oh, I always kind of put in extra time," and then Cisco, the captain, will be like, "No, but really, how much time is it actually going to take?" It's like, well, okay, this is how much. So that's like a thematic reason to put in, Miles O'Brien is the greatest person in all of Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, that reference at the end, it just felt like, I assumed it was just, I know that O'Brien's a popular character amongst Trekkies, and, like, I assumed that was just like, the joke. Character everyone likes, we say, is really important, but that, I like your read,
right? Because IO9, what's his name? I read the one review of this episode. It was like, it's the greatest, like, a cameo. And one, it's not a cameo; it's a dumb statue that shows up. And also, it's a lame there's much better ways to have O'Brien show up. If I wanted to get all Star Trek nerd about it, I'd have him come in because he's teaching at Starfleet. Oh, fuck me.
Well, also, Cole Meany, I believe, is a fairly prolific voice actor. A lot of the, like, Trek people are from TNG and DS9 particularly.
Yeah. So, there's better ways to do it than just throw a straight. And also, to bring up the C word, as it were, God. That flash forward to very far in the future. I mean, I just don't know how it's going to conflict with canon of Star Trek Discovery Season 3.
So Benny, did you thought this was funny?
Thank you.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. yeah, okay.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it that's the space it lives in, and I'm not laughing out loud at this thing.
No, I mean, it's the first season of any comedy is rough.
Sure.
They'll figure it out, but no, I just enjoyed it a lot. I just thought it was really fun.
The spear things, but I have a phaser. When you're coming at me with a spear,
that's funny. Yeah.
Oh, and then also that addendum at the end, just a reference for all you nerds out there. I know the Great Bird of the Galaxy that's on Boimler's shoulder. The Great Bird of the Galaxy was a name because Gene Roddenberry didn't have an ego at all. That's what he wanted. People refer to Gene Roddenberry as the Great Bird of the Galaxy for some reason.
Ah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Any other thoughts about this episode?
I liked the margarita frozen salt joke. That was funny. Like, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of joke I like, because you don't have to tell the audience, like, oh, Mariner knows how Picard took his tea and how he ordered it. That's just a funny, like, twist on.
Yeah, they always give everybody in each Star Trek, they get their drink. It was Earl Grey hot. and Raktajino is everybody's drinking on Deep Space Nine. They've referenced those a few times. I think, yeah, somebody else might drink some other chamomile. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But and hers is like the frozen margaritas with the salt on the glass.
Yeah.
I liked when Tawny Newsome shouted, "I will dance in your blood."
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, they're setting up a little sexual tension between
Yeah.
Ransom and Mariner, and it kind of works for me. I'm fine.
I'm
with
into it. I dig it.
I wasn't as into it, but it's just one episode, so we'll see where it goes.
I like that more than I like trying to set her and Boimler up as.
Oh God,
ship
yeah,
that-
I totally agree.
Star Trek is notoriously bad at like if what's the worst romance you could do, that's probably what they usually
Right.
pick to pair people off. And they get a weird. Star Trek historically has gotten off on like they feel like they need to pair people up, and it's always really bad.
Yeah.
So
I mean, pairing people up is a good way to get people to care about shows that aren't good, and shows that are good certainly. But
and then make shows that are good worse.
well,
by
that I mean,
people.
ultimately, yeah. If everything exists in service of that, will they, won't they? Then
I don't want to spoil Deep Space Nine, but listen to season 6 of the ROA once you get there, Glenn. Plug and
there's a little bit of that in DS9, a little show being ruined by a romance.
there's definitely some of that.
Mm.
And then TNG like Worf and the Troy. It was kind of weird, but
Yeah, that was I did not like that turn. It just
not a lot
not
of people did.
it felt so. It was like I was gonna make a Parks and Rec reference, but I don't want to get too far out of our mission brief.
Yeah, save it for status update.
Okay.
I don't think we're doing that this episode.
No, we are, Sean.
I don't think we are.
The one thing I think I mentioned before, what I think this episode was cowardly for not doing, or just missed an opportunity, or just was underwritten, was did anybody with the whole buffer time and everybody like having to be timed to run anything, like they could have clearly made some commentary about the current timeline that we are in right now. It felt like it was setting it up for an obvious Amazon warehouse commentary.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like that's what people want Star Trek to do. That some people don't want that.
Yeah.
Some people say Star Trek shouldn't be political, and those people are fucking idiots.
I mean,
But,
they say sports shouldn't be political too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know.
What they really mean is it shouldn't be contrary to my personal politics.
Yeah, but like if they wanted to take any sort of risk or make any commentary, you could have really found ways to really plug into the but they don't want to piss off any advertisers or Jeff Bezos, I guess.
It is funny that they came right up against it and then just stopped. Like they're right there. Everybody's on a time crunch, and because of that, literally a delivery is wrong. They're really they're so close, and then they're like, "Oh, but that's okay. We're not."
Yeah. The whole thing gets fucked up because they get the wrong delivery. I mean, it's like, come
Right.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, they're a half step away, but I get I get why.
I do like that Tawny Newsome's character is like a space liberal.
Yeah.
How so?
The way she was watching over those people, talking about how Starfleet doesn't have them in their purview.
Oh yeah.
In the first episode, yeah.
Oh right.
Was that on the first? No, I think it was in the recent one.
No, and she helps the farmers.
The spider?
Yeah, that's the pilot.
Oh, that's the first one. No, I just watched.
I do like the Mariner's character. It's like an extra little spin on to critique Star Trek isms, to you have to break the rules to but it also is very much in line with Star Trek ideology or whatever, if you want to be all cultish about it. That's mostly, I think I got most of what I wanted to say about this episode.
Yeah.
Well, the episode was fine. I didn't love it as much as the first two, but
I still liked it. I really did. I mean, takes don't get more boring than this, but I felt exactly the same.
I had a great time. Yeah.
I liked them all.
It reminded me of Futurama in a nice way.
That's fair.
And I'll tell you, Futurama really kind of makes their job harder. I didn't even think about that till you said that.
Yeah, Futurama kind of nailed it.
Yeah, it really did. Including their Star Trek episode, which is just the funniest Trek parody I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, take a listen, because you know what time it is?
He took the headphones off, everybody. He just took them off.
For those listening at home. Hey, it's status report.
Nobody wants this.
So you've watched a 0.01 more percent Star Trek than last time?
Yeah, what? Yeah, why? What? Glenn, you have to start justifying status report.
Well, I have a justification per your request. So I have not watched any new Star Trek since the last time we spoke. However, I realize I didn't speak on the pod about my impressions of all of the Star Trek movies, because now I've seen every single Star
I'm
Trek
leaving. Nope, I sure don't have time.
I'm not going to dissect each one. I'm just going to say, because Benny actually
You said you liked
mentioned-
5. That's
What?
all we need. You said you like Star Trek 5.
Yeah, we're done here.
Yes, that is probably my hottest take, is that I enjoyed Final Frontier more than the general consensus, but that's
Which is the one where they go to the 70s?
that's Star Trek 4, Voyage Home.
And that's the 80s.
Is that a good one?
It's a great one. It's the best for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's that might be my favorite of definitely my favorite of the TOS movies for sure.
So if I'm gonna watch a couple of Star Trek movies, which ones do I need to watch?
I would argue 2, 4.
The even ones is the general consensus among everybody.
Oh, that's
Is
fine.
that even Star Trek movies are good, odd ones suck. I have fun with some of the odd ones. Even 5. I actually have a soft spot for 5 as well, but it's not a good film.
I'd say the bare essentials are 2, 4, 6, not Final Contact, First Contact, and then
And that's it.
Yeah, of the original, and then you've already seen the Kelvin movies, I think. Yeah, so so 2, 4, First Contact. That's it.
Wrath of Khan, Voyage Home,
First Contact.
The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, right. I forgot 6 in the second round. Sorry. Yeah, it's those are the ones you need to watch. I obviously watched all of them because I'm a stupid completionist who people don't actually enjoy listening to on this podcast. But
Some do. You're a very controversial figure, Glenn.
yes, exactly.
The audience likes you more than your co-hosts do.
I feed on my co-hosts' hatred.
Co-hosts and friends.
Yes, my co-hosts and dear friends who just mercilessly roast me for talking about the thing that this podcast is about.
That's an oversimplification of why we roast you, but go on.
Fair enough. But yeah, so Benny, you're good with those 4 movies. You don't need to watch anything else. Trust me.
4 movies. Okay.
Yeah, Jesus.
But the
yeah,
other
Benny,
thing-
just those 4. Just half a Harry Potter. You're fine.
Just that 8 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, but those are the good movies that will go by quicker. Let me tell you, a movie that felt like it was 40 fucking hours long is Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That is the most boring shit I've ever watched.
I'm a great filmmaker.
It's great. It's great, but you should probably be high to watch that. I've never watched it high, but I love it because it's. But I have a high threshold for boring shit, and it's
Sure.
a lot of just watching them glide by a matte painting.
Right, exactly. That's
fun.
no, I'm not joking. 90% of that fucking movie's runtime is people staring out a window to establishing shots of, like Wade said, to some matte painting or some shit. And it is agonizing.
It's beautiful. It's just visually very. Just don't watch it for plot.
Don't watch it for plot. Don't watch it for really anything else, because
Benny's not gonna watch it. Benny's not.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Watch it for the hot bald lady with the
who V'ger.
Well, hold on.
When I was a kid, the V'ger's the Voyager probe. When I was a kid, it was it stuck with me. But,
I'm interested in.
Well, no, I was saying
It's not-
V'ger assimilates her, kind of bored.
All right,
style.
get to whatever you wanted to talk about.
okay, so
I guess through recommending them to Benny, we kind of got.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And of the Kelvin
next
movies,
time I want an update on your status, Glenn.
Status unchanged.
I want a report on your status.
45.68%.
That's bullshit, Glenn. You gotta watch some Star Trek.
I know.
I got.
What are you doing?
If you haven't watched Star Trek next week, there's no status report. What are we reporting?
Deal.
On? All right.
You realize that's a very low bar for me to clear.
Yeah, well, you didn't clear it.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't do it last.
But
week,
I will
so
clear it because if nothing else, I have to watch the next episode of Lower Decks. So eat
Doesn't
shit.
count. Well,
That doesn't count.
I'll
No.
fine. I'll watch. I'll start watching Deep Space Nine again.
You can watch one episode a week. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna try. You can also watch Zero and not do status report. And that
No,
would
I have to do
put
status
me over the
report.
moon.
you can not watch any and we'll just listen to all of the Rules of Acquisition, a Kickers of Elves podcast. Sorry.
We could just put in the rules of acquisition for the amount of time it would have taken you to do a status report. We'll just slip it in here.
So for my last bit on status report, I was just going to say,
my God.
just you wait until I do performance review, which is my data project assigning a value to how many admirals in Starfleet actually turned out to be evil.
Oh, all of them. I mean, yeah, that's.
Well, that's the adage, but I'm gonna.
There's
crunch
a
the
few that
numbers.
don't. Yes. Yeah.
Boy, I can't.
This has viral potential written all over
If
it.
by viral you mean will interest a handful of people and keep me occupied, then yes.
If by viral you mean will make me physically ill, then yes.
Yeah. Admiral Ham Sandwich on Deep Space Nine doesn't turn out to be evil.
All right, nobody wants this. Play the whistle. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love the whistle. That's a new feature since I was last here.
Oh, really?
Oh, right. I guess you weren't here since status report started. Is that right?
I don't know. Who cares?
No, I've been here since status report started.
Done. Woo! It sounds like your beloved train whistles, doesn't it, Benny?
It does.
Oh, yes, it does. I appreciate you bringing those up. I have them. They're just.
Benny loves a good train whistle.
I do. I sure do.
All right. Anybody got anything to plug? I think we've worn this out. We've worn out our welcome.
I always like to tell people on this podcast to roast me on Twitter
and they never
and
do.
be merciless. Roast the shit out of me. Look at pictures of me. Make fun of my appearance. My Twitter is at Benny Scheckner. My Instagram is at Benny Scheckner. You can find the spelling in the episode description.
What's her name from Toronto? Wade's brother and his wife. Roast Benny. That's all he wants in the whole world.
Roast me. I just want to get roasted.
Well, Benny, if I may make a suggestion, if you want to get roasted, may I suggest talking about Star Trek on this podcast?
Oh, well, I don't know if
I would
can do
never
that.
make fun of Benny. He's a beautiful boy. He's a beautiful boy.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that country chart podcast
It's-
out yet?
No.
No. Okay.
No, we've Folsom Prison Tunes, the top 1,000 Sirius XM.
1,000?
Yeah. This thing's gonna be 200 episodes long. No, 100 episodes, but 2 years. Yeah, we do 10 songs an episode. We're ranking them, we're rating them, we're making our own list. It's a hellscape of human suffering, and if you really like Glenn and you want to hear me be fucking pissed off and sad and regret my choices and feel that Glenn is vindicated, then go listen to Folsom Prison Tunes. I'm miserable over there.
Oh, God.
Miserable.
Well, I
200 podcasts is easy to get. You'll be done before you know it.
I was gonna say listen to my new podcast where I analyze the Wheel of Time page by page and only through a monitor I've installed in Sean's bedroom that he can't turn off.
Great.
Just
Good.
quality analysis for me directly to him.
Fantastic. What Glenn doesn't know is that I crank off to it. So
Oh boy.
And we're laughing so much because listeners, we know just how uncomfortable that makes Glenn.
it does, yeah.
And we know how true it is.
Glenn can never know how much Glenn content I've jerked off to.
Oh, God.
Because that lovely friendship that we're talking about, I don't know how strong those bonds are. Once certain facts are shared.
Oh boy. You know what, Sean? I forgive you. Crank away.
God, oh boy. I mean, I'm glad to have your permission, but I was gonna regardless. Just ask Benny in our poor couch.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
All right, I think this has gone on long enough.
Yeah, that's enough of this.
Hit the self-destruct button. We're done here.
Glenn, cut a lot of this out, please.
Right. Oh, we found the sign off. Self-destruct sequence activated.
There you go. Ooh.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. All right. Done. It's canon now. Fuck.
Fuck you.
Oh, you said it again.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Caution, look, it's lower decks. A funny cartoon references other track. Without pretentiousness, Tony Newsom and Jack Quaid. Eugene Cordero, Star Trek for the common man. Finally found my place. Hey, yeah. Self-contained adventures, stakes that are realistic. Different parts of the ship, and not just the bridge. There's maybe a romance, doesn't matter, who cares? Sci-fi adventures, no high concept schlock. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day, hearing Glen's status report. It drove me insane. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. God, it just went on and on. I had no escape. Hey, yeah. Shut up, Glenn, please just shut up. Glenn, shut the fuck up, just stop talking. Star Trek Lower Decks. The Star Trek that's the best. Star Trek Lower